Hello and welcome back to The Long Dark. So I didn't actually have time to sort out my things in the inventory, so let's take a look right now. Now obviously this is not a movie about me sorting materials in my inventory, so that fishing tackle, let's put it in here, it's useless anyway. So that's one thing I noticed, that they probably have updated, that if you have something that is worn out, let's take a look outside. Let's see. No. Let's try to take these things here and put them in, drop them and see if they disappear again. Couple of stones. Oh, let's take a look. Fishing tackle. Drop. There's most definitely a wolf nearby, but let's do another thing then. Let's try to put those things into the locker. See, it interesting. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat. Now, this may not be part of this update here, but nevertheless, I think it's pretty neat that when you move some things into an inventory like that, it will stay there. I'm not sure I brought us flashlight. Alright, let's see what we have, what we can spare, what we don't need. Cedar firewood, I want that with me. Obviously I need the bedroll. Let's see, my deerskin boots. I'm certainly not going to take those off. Let's see, fishing tackle, hatchet. I'm going to keep this. The jerrycan here is pretty important, so I'm going to take that with me. The rifle cartridge, the stones. Could probably drop that. Don't need it. Yeah, there's nothing more really we can drop, but we're not that heavy either. Not totally insanely heavy. I don't know why I'm getting that little lag there. I would like to know where that wolf that is howling is, but let's drop the stone. And take out the rifle. So we need to keep our eyes peeled for wolfies. Now, as you probably, if you've followed my other videos about this game, the way you get back to Milton town is there's one way. You can also go through the full-on mosque. Alright, so on this little back trip I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to say anything. The idea being that I'm going to cut the part out. Unless I see a wolf or get tackled by a wolf. Then I will restart the video. Can't remember if my traps are still down here. Let's take a look. I think I took them with me. No, there's one trap there. No, they're still there. Could shoot him right in the butt. I'm not going to. Move out, little friend. Yeah. Let's take this now. being heavy and going against the wind is pretty tough. Move it. Alright. Just going to check. I can't remember if there's any bunny rabbit spawn points near me. Obviously where I am now. This should be here. There's a bunny rabbit spawn point there. Rising mushroom. Alright, so there is one relatively close to me. I think I'm going to relatively close to the camp office, that is. So, like I said, I think I'm going to either fast forward or cut this part out, because I don't really think it's that interesting for you to see me walking around. So that's another thing that they have changed. I can see that when you run, as you can see, I tried to run a little bit again. Now you can't see it, but because it hasn't fully loaded up yet. But the old style for the HUD was that as you gained kilograms from your or percentage hindrance from your clothing, that would show itself as a red bar on your stamina meter, run meter, whatever we should call it. And so that sort of gave that defined how much you could run. Now that red bar is no longer there. Instead, the bar simply turns red when you are running out of stamina, and then it simply is just missing there. I think that's probably a slightly better way to show it. I'm not sure. Perhaps it isn't, perhaps it's not. But I don't think it subtracts anything from the game. That's being said. I'm just trying to find a good vantage point for which to map. I'm not sure I have... no, I'm pretty sure I haven't mapped that part before. So I've gotten a little more... Alright. Let's make our way back to our camp, and then plan where we are going from there on. So the wind loosened up. That's pretty neat. It's still snowing and visibility is a little bit hindered. Oh yes. One thing that I do wanted to mention. I must say I actually find it a little bit disappointing that they haven't... Oh, sorry. Look down. Look at your feet. Mike, look at your feet. Yeah. What was the saying? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. maybe I should edit this part out also as well. No, I think it's a bit disappointing that... So the map style that you have, if you haven't seen it yet, in the story mode, is that whenever you activate your map, you have a little triangle showing roughly where you're positioned. Now, I would definitely like to have that added to the survival part as well. Now, critics of that idea might say, well, this is a survival game, and when you start out your survival game, all you have is a piece of paper and your charcoal, and then you use that charcoal. You must sketch a lot to use an entire charcoal, but nevertheless, you use that charcoal to map out, to make your map, and then of course you have to use the natural environment to what's that? No, it's nothing. Well, it is something, but it's not something furry, nasty with teeth and claws. I can hear a lot of wolves, but I'm not sure where they are. They must be trapped somewhere or something like that. No, yeah, alright. Stick to the point, Mike. So critics of my idea or my request or whatever you want to call it might say, well, Mike, this is a survival game. You have to acknowledge that. And when you're out in the wilderness surviving, you don't have the luxury of sort of having a detailed position of yourself on the map. And that's true. You don't. And I'm perfectly aware of that because I have actually conducted, I would say, a fair amount of navigating while I was in the Danish army. So I know that. I know that when you have a map and you have a compass, Mike here doesn't even have a compass, but when you have a map and you have a compass, you use your natural environment, you use the signs that you can see around you to get a feel of where you are. You can sort of triangulate your own position. The problem is that this map isn't nearly as detailed for you to do that. As you can see, you have some trees here, and you have... so you can't do that. Also, if I were to do this kind of navigating in real life, I would have a much better sense and feel of where I am in real life compared to my sense and feel of where I am in this game. And first and foremost, even though this is a survival game and the idea is to try to survive as long as you can and try to make the challenges that you have surviving in an environment like this as realistic as possible, because I definitely think that that's the angle that Hinterland has, that they want to make the challenges that you face here surviving as realistic as possible. I get that. I truly get that. And so adding what I suggested, sort of a neat way to navigate around and know where your position is sort of relatively precisely, would be unrealistic. The thing is, this game is not an actual or realistic representation of on how real life navigating, how real life survival is. It's not. It's a game. And so the options that you would have in real life to survive and to navigate and so on, that does not match the options that you have in this game. It really doesn't. So the idea that you should be able to survive like this, in this sense, it's a good idea. It really is. I think it's and it's a fair point, what you can and can't do in real life. But I think it's very important to keep in mind and keep that strongly in your mind when you're sort of evaluating a game like this, that it's a game. It's not real life. And so I would say in a game like this, I would almost call it mandatory that when you have a map you can call out and look at, that you can always have sort of a rough estimate of where you are. Also, keep in mind that you are not playing this game as another person. Sorry, you're not playing this game as yourself. The idea is that you're actually playing this game as another person. And so I would say from that point of view alone, I would call it pretty important that you keep that in mind. That, let's take that. That this isn't real life. That you're playing as another person. As a third person. It's the first person game, but you're playing as another person, and so you can't. The idea for me is, in this sense, that this person that you're playing as, whether it being the person from the story mode, Will, or being the person that I have created here, Mike, you're playing as another person, and so it's a fair assumption that that person you're playing as have some way to navigate around in this world, and he doesn't. He doesn't have that option. If let's see. He doesn't have that option if oh, you can. You need well, maybe to take a sorry, you don't have that option in real life. You would say, well, I thought I have a bunch of old cans, but well, apparently I don't. Yeah, in real life you would say to yourself, well, sorry, I'm just thinking about where I might have put an empty can, but for some reason it doesn't seem that I actually took an empty can with me. So yeah, the point being, then we're just going to make it in the stove, in the pot. But the point being, from my perspective, is the point being, from my perspective, is that as you're playing as another person, and you are, it would, in my opinion, be fair to assume that this person that you're playing as have the ability to, for himself, navigate around in the world, and by that being able to sort of roughly estimate where he is on a map that he has drawn himself. I'm just going to fast forward time here. Yeah. Let's take a lovely nice cup of I didn't drink it. Let's where did I put it? Perhaps there? Yeah. Warm hot drink. Lovely. That's nice. And we should also, yeah, we get a fatigue reduction rate, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, let's put the rabbits outside until I have the time to get rid of them. And I also need to find out what in the world it is that is so heavy. The rifle, oh, of course. Yeah. That was obviously self. So let's, what was it? Was it also cedar? There's a lot of cedar here. Drop all. I don't need it. I don't need it. And also, let's drop some of these charcoals somewhere. Perhaps here? Oh, I have 48. Let's drop it so I have... okay, I can't drop any more charcoals in there. Let's try this cabin here. Let's drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, transfer. It's not that big of a reduction. I'm still largely overweight, but that's going to change when I put down those two bunny rabbitses. Yeah, so I really do think that the way of navigating... Oh, we have some fish here as well. The way of navigating in this world should be the same. Yeah, let me try to put it in another way. Time is almost up, but I think we should try, before we stop, to go up here where the bunny rabbits were, sort of straight over, to put down the traps, because we can always survive from bunny rabbits. We don't find anything else useful. Yes, I think the way of navigating in the survival game should be, to some extent, roughly the same way you navigate in the story mode game. You could say that perhaps the radius of the way you navigate in story mode, in survival mode, should be more vague than it would be in the story mode. I'm not sure about that. It's sort of, I think it's sort of an individual thing. What you like, what you think, what you need. But I do think that in a game like this, the way the game is structured, the way the game is, what's this, cedar or fir? Cedar limb. What's this? Probably also cedar. Yeah. I don't need cedar, I need fir. Furry wood. I think the way the game, yeah, I'm not sure. I just think, honestly think, that they should also rework the way you play the game in survival mode. So you have some way of to cedar. The stone is there, so it should be up here somewhere. So you have some way to navigate around, some idea to how to navigate. And as I see it right now, you don't. It's completely up to, like on a day like this where you don't even know really where the sun is. There's no way of knowing where I am. Now I could look, and there's some old man's beard lichen here and here, and a cedar limb on my left. That's here. So I've gone a little too far forward. That's true. Let's just take this. Yeah, that's just my opinion. I hope that that maybe Hinterland will hear me and change this, because I think it would add to the game. It would certainly add to the way the game works for me. And One of the biggest reasons for me, personally, it simply is that I think I have a pretty hard time figuring out. Let's say that I wanted to sort of extend. I wanted to extend my mapping out around these areas here. Now, I'm not sure exactly where I should position myself relative to the other things in order to know where exactly I should draw a map. So I might be in a case where I draw a map here and get a little bit of this, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted to draw a map, for example, here or something else. Yeah, so I think it's... oh, crabbity crap. Now let's see if we can find that rabbit brew, and we might just have to call it a day. Hopefully this is not a fir. No, that's also cedar. But I also have to say that I really like and I really enjoy the explorational part of the game. I do like to explore the game. I do like to run around and draw maps. But what I don't like is that I have almost zero idea, or often, of where I actually draw the maps. Let's make an example here. Let's try to draw a map here. See, I have absolutely no idea where I'm standing. So there's a big lunk of tree there. There's something that looks like a river, which could possibly be this river here. There's a rose hips. I can't really see any rose hips nearby. I could walk up there, but I have no idea where it would be most prudent. So there's some rising mushrooms here. Can I see that here somewhere? Yeah, those are there. Let's take them. I really don't want to stumble into a wolf. And this could be a pretty dumb place to begin to draw a map, but I really need to know where I am. So that gave me some sense. And I'm probably up here somewhere. So yeah. Oh, so fatigue is expired. I think we should go, I want to go back to... blah. So I'm going to, because this episode is pretty long as it is, I'm going to head back to the cabin, just in order to save it. I have some real world stuff that I need to do. I need to perform, so that's pretty important. So right now I have almost zero idea of whether I'm going in the right direction or not. And this might be the most excellent time I can think of to run into a wolf. Or to sprain an ankle or something like that. yeah. Watch out, Will. Sorry, not Will. Mike. So it seems that the wolves are somewhere around here somewhere, so at least I'm not getting closer to them. But I would like to know where that rabbit grove is supposed to be. If it can be. I think it's a really fair point. Can't be that it has moved because of the update. This is the place where I've often ran into wolfies. It seems like they're somewhere around here. Or up there somewhere. But yeah, like I said, I have some real world stuff to take care of. Well, it's not that big of a secret. I have to pick up my son from school and my little daughter from daycare. Then I have to drive them to their respective grandparents. Yeah, that's just about it. So let's quickly run back. Yeah, let's do that. As you can see, the part I told you about is missing, so now we're getting in the red area, and that is really adding to the fatigue. That is to some very high fair amount pretty realistic. I like that about the game, I really do. But yeah, I would like to have seen the map updates for the survival game being added. Sorry for the story mode game being added to the survival mode game as well. Now, it could be. I know that the big difference between it and survival game, the story mode and survival game, is that in the story mode you get the full map from the get-go. Here you have to make the map. But I think that difference could be pretty much alleviated by, let me give you an example. So when I, for example, is walking about here, I have this little dot showing roughly where I am. It could be a big blob, something like that, so that I can triangulate, sort of get an idea where I am. If I run into the dark area here, that dot disappears. So I would say that could be one way to do it. Now I do know, and that's, I think it's pretty obvious, that they have done a lot with the maps here to make them better. So you have a much better way of navigating around on the maps, no doubt about that. It's much greater than it was at first, but I would really have liked to have a way to enable that little dot. At least you could say that it is something that you could enable or disable at will. But at least I would say you should have the opportunity. Nevertheless, I think this episode here has gone. It's run its course. I think it's definitely long enough. I hope you enjoy my series on Long Dark, and I will continue to make videos. So see you around. Bye bye.